Hello. Why, it's Gratu Orloff here again, and it's episode 341, April 2nd, 2021, in the year of our Lord. Um, when we last left off, I was going through some Star Wars cards in this binder, and it set me off on a rant, and I decided to edit out that rant because I started saying some words that I don't think are appropriate for YouTube. So anyway, yeah. Because I was, what was I talking about? Oh, by the way, Tim Burton. I couldn't think of his name for some fucking reason in the last episode. Oh, and yes, the words I was using were far worse than the F word. But anyway, I was looking at these amazing Star Wars cards. Like, you've never seen anything like them, right? And it's like, I don't think they have. Maybe they have value to these. Anyway, Star Wars was something I loved so dearly when it came out in 1977 when I was the summer after 6th grade. I loved it. It was like, all my life is built to this movie. And then The Empire Strikes Back 3 years later was wonderful. And 3 years later, I see Return of the Jedi on the very day I graduated from high school. And it was good, but I mean, I was a little disappointed they used the Death Star again. And George Lucas said, well, I didn't do it right the way I really wanted it the first time. Come up with new ideas. Of course, since then, of course, they used the Death Star over and over again in these stupid Disney movies. But anyway, I started ranting about, third, fourth grade. I'm living in San Antonio. That was a wonderful time in my life. I discovered superhero comics and wacky packages and Planet of the Apes and Star Trek. And I have some wonderful friends at Regency Place Elementary there in San Antonio. And then, we moved to near Seattle, Washington, to Tacoma, Washington, and that school was scum. You go in the restroom and there'd be 4 or 5 guys there lurking, waiting to, push you around. And just a scummy school. That was 5th grade. And then we moved here in 6th grade. It was uneventful. A few, but then Star Wars comes out, then junior high, which was a horrible place. And everyone was like, oh, junior high, they make you take showers. And basically you had to go in after PE into a shower and at least get yourself wet, and get your hair a little wet so the coach could, because the coach had a board, they'd hit you with a board if they think that you were going to your next class without a shower. So, junior high was just filled with scum. And I was telling the story of, there was a Kenny's shoe store next to the junior high. And then everyone was like, meet me behind Kenny's after school. Because, you were just off the school grounds and there was a fence. And then you'd go behind the Kenny's shoe store and fight. So that was always the meet me after school behind Kenny's. That was the bullies' rally cry. And it was just almost everybody in that school they were just scum. And I started off on this rant about junior high and bullying, and I decided I better figure out how to edit that out because even after all these years, let's see how long ago was that? That's like probably 45 years ago, and those it's still horrible to think about that place. But then when I go to vote there, sometimes it's like, oh wow, and you just remember the good memories. But no, there were no good memories about that terrible school. And anyway, these were stickers that came with the Star Wars cards. But yeah, I remember, but no one would fight in the school because they knew better than that. Nowadays, kids just fight in the middle of a classroom and knock desks over and pick up glass objects of the teachers and throw them. They don't have any right in the hallway. But then you knew, I think it was because they had corporal punishment. You'd get licks. They called it licks. This is these are Star Wars cards that came in loaves of, I think, Wonder Bread, and they had these stupid little backs on them. It was Wonder Bread, or I don't know, the damn loaf of bread. And then Battlestar Galactica, the same bread company, did these Battlestar Galactica cards. This stupid thing. That was their answer to the Cantina band. Yeah, see, you can tell it's the same company, same backs, and they're printed on cheap cardboard where it turns brown almost like instantly as soon as it touches the air. Yeah, man. Oh, junior high was a horrible experience. Oh, here's a card that came loose. So, so that's when things started to go bad, real bad. Because Star Wars was great. It became a bad thing later, and it's a terrible. So there were some people on YouTube yesterday excited. There's a new series called The Bad Bunch or The Bad Batch. It's like, oh, really? Are you kidding me? You would support anything that Kathleen Kennedy put out? It's just, yeah, Battlestar Galactica. So that was part of the problem. Star Wars comes out, it's exciting. Then you're in a new school. It's junior high. Oh, we're gonna have to take showers, and of course, PE class. I don't know the rules to any fucking sports. My dad was, in the military, and he was always busy. Maybe he taught the rules of sports to my older brothers, but he never taught me anything about sports. I didn't know the rules to football or any sport. And then we're playing these games. Oh, and the one thing the game they played was all the time was either dodgeball. Sometimes they call it nation ball. And, you'd have two sides, right? And then you had this big red ball that, you would throw it at the other team and try to hit them. And if you got hit, you got knocked out. And then you were put in, you had to go sit on the bleachers, which is the greatest thing. To get hit, you tried to make sure you get hit like a grazing wound, so then you could sit out and you wouldn't have to keep worrying about it. Because the alternative is you get hit full in the face and your glasses fall off, and then that's a hilarious thing for all the scum. Or or if you're hit full force, anywhere in your body, it leaves a big red welt that magically disappears before you go home from school. And the coach would sit there, some stupid fat hick with a mustache back, and watching. He's like his hick Roman Caesar out back there watching. You don't get any exercise because you're always immediately hit by the ball, and you're sitting on the bleacher for most of PE class, if you're lucky. There was this fucking guy on the football team. He looked like John Belushi. He was really big. I remember him throwing that ball, and it missed this kid's head just barely, and it hit the steel door to the gym, and the door flew open. They play this game now in schools, but they use these little balls that don't hurt, but back in the 70s they hurt. And it was a horrible experience. And then you'd play football, but without pads. You were in fucking underwear, and it was it was fucked up. Of course, back then it was boys and girls were separated, and then you had to take showers. Now it's all together, boys and girls in PE class, and they don't make them shower. The showers haven't even been turned on in the school where I was at in decades. But it was a horrible experience. And all the bullies, and I remember one time this fucking scumbag bully kind of hick. I guess I dropped $1 while I was in line or something. This hick picks it up and says, "You want that? That's my dollar. You want that dollar? You gotta suck my dick." And I got the $1 back without doing that. I don't remember if I talked to the coach. I should have said this guy is sexually making sexual propositions to me. But then you're narking, you're tattling. I don't remember what happened. But I just remember it's like, what kind of bully asked for that? Because that kind of makes him seem a little. Yeah, anyway, I was telling this story in the last video, and I started to use some words that I thought YouTube wouldn't appreciate, so I decided to edit out the end of the video, and I would have kept going, but oh well. Horrible. Oh, here's a little plastic deal of cards. You got these hip 90s looking Universal Monsters things, you know. I'm listening to Mr. Quintron's show from last Sunday. He has a show that plays Hammond organ stuff, and he did one last. It's on every Sunday at 1 o'clock Central Time on YouTube. So Mr. Quintron. There's cool stuff on YouTube you got to check out. Night Tiger put up a video this morning I was watching showing some Golden Age comics that he got recently, and I was watching, there's this really, she can't be older than 19. She sings these old standards, and she has a beautiful singing voice. You got to check her out. Her name is Allison Young, I think. Yeah, check her out. I hope I'm not wrong on the name. But yeah, she's this red-haired girl that is a young kid from today, but she appreciates the past, and you can tell in everything from the type microphone she uses to the way she decorates her room or whatever. So it's cool that there are people that are young that are smart, that aren't idiots. There's this kid named Behizy, Behizy. Look him up. He does political commentary. He's great, and he's barely out of high school. And then who else? This girl named Reese Flex. I don't know what that name means, but it's RISS, and the last name FLEX. All of this is on YouTube. She does great political commentary, and she looks really young. So they're not all idiots. I saw this girl. What is her name? Anyway, this girl goes out on the beach in Florida and talks to all these kids and asks them who the president of the United States is, and most of them didn't know Biden's name. It's something else. This was not Trump, because they knew that they were supposed to hate Trump because they'd been told to. They didn't know why. I mean, they've heard that he was a bad man. So they know it's not, we know that Trump were, and they said, well, is it Trump? But they couldn't, but anyway, they couldn't remember Biden's name, even though he got more votes than anyone in the history of America. This is a Daredevil card from that Daredevil movie. But that movie, everyone remembers it as terrible, but we're spoiled. Here's Lord of the Rings. The rest of them are new wacky packages. I was showing you wacky packages. These are I need to put them in, I guess, and get more pages for these binders. But these are These are ones from maybe 10, 15 years ago. They're not old. I don't know what the year is on them. These are recent vintage, not 70s. So that's kind of cool. I mean, like, there's like parodies of Grand Theft Auto, so it's somewhat recent. Okay, so here's the thing. The reason I'm talking about the late '70s, that's when things went bad. Star Wars is out, and that's great. And I'm excited. I get any magazine with Star Wars on it. But then, after a while, you realize that Star Wars, followed by Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that's what Famous Monsters started to become. All that. It was only that. And all these great monster magazines started to be more just about space stuff. And I love space stuff, but don't squeeze out my monsters. And Famous Monsters started R2D2's on the cover. Okay, that's cool. Well, the next issue, well, there's Darth Vader on the cover getting his name put on the fucking Grauman's Chinese sidewalk. And it's like, man. And it's like all the diversity went away. All the monsters went away, and it became all Star Wars all the time. And then Battlestar Galactica, oh wow, there's going to be a Star Wars type TV show, and it's going to have effects by John Dykstra. That was exciting. And then we saw it, and it's like, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. You wanted to believe it was great, but you really, after a while, you realize, no, it's not really that great. And it only lasted a season or maybe a season and a half. I can't remember. And then it's like, there's going to be a Spider-Man live-action TV show. That's amazing. And they're making a Hulk show. And then you see the Spider-Man show, and that's nothing like the comic. This is boring. The Incredible Hulk TV show was fun to watch. There was nothing like the comic. And it's like, okay. Well, Wonder Woman, that first season was great. It was in World War II. Oh, well, now it changed networks. And now it's set right in 1977. And there's skateboarding. And there's people with their hair parted in the middle. And it's today. And it's... Oh. Well, we still have the comic books. Well, then the comic books started to not be as good. You're just getting older. The comics are still the same comics. No, they weren't the same comics. And then, well, G.I. Joe's coming back. But they're little tiny figures. And that's cool if you grew up in that time period and you were really into that. And the G.I. Joe cartoon on television, I saw a few of those. It was pretty well done for the time. And I never read the G.I. Joe comic books, but I'm sure they were good too. But, it's just all of a sudden, everything wasn't as good. And that's